I do things like voiceovers for capturing screens and things like that. And recently I've been doing voiceovers for a company for their training videos. I came up with a lot of do's and don'ts that I want to share with you. Now I've tried doing these voiceovers inside a company, and you're looking for an office or an upstairs or a downstairs or something like that. You just cannot get around copy machines and people talking and loud noises and things happening, which is why I do it here. I'm set up here to have a really, really quiet environment. There's a blanket over there. There's some soundproofing, things like that. If I really wanted to go all out for this voiceover, I'd probably take a blanket and put it over this table. I've learned a few things about doing these voiceovers because I not only voice them over, but I do the audio editing too, and you can really save yourself a lot of time by doing some very simple things. The first thing is making sure you have a good mic, making sure it's close to your mouth, making sure you're in an environment that's quiet. The second thing is before you decide to record, I happen to have this plug-on recorder from Saramonic. Before you record, make sure you format the card. The card formatting says, okay, I formatted it, I know everything's working, and I'm not going to sit here for the next 5 minutes or hour or two using this to find out that my card is messed up. I have a script here in front of me. I keep it on my iPad because I found that doing it from paper, which is good, you go through and you read it, you get to the end, then you turn the paper and you get the paper sound coming through the mic, and then you have to cut all that out. Now, reading the script, I always start with, for instance, the course is sections, and each of those sections has lectures. Now, if I'm going to edit this, or I'm going to hand it over to somebody else to edit, they need to know what I'm talking about. So I'd start with something like this. Section 3, Design Format tab, Lecture 1, Chart Elements. Now, I could do it on my iPad, and the reason why I like doing it on my iPad is as I'm talking, I can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Now, the next thing is you can just read. In this lecture, we'll look at a few examples of chart elements and how they are edited. We will dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. Open the exercise file, blah, 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 blah. That's okay. The problem is there's no life. No one is watching me when they're hearing this voice and watching things happen on a screen, and you have to put some life into it. The way I put life into it is I don't sit in a chair. As I stand up, it allows more air to flow. It allows me to talk with a better voice, and I'm not constricted. It also keeps all the blood flowing to the brain and everything else. The other thing I do is I breathe, and that helps a lot. Now, when I'm reading, the other reason why I stand up is because I don't just sit here and do this. In this lecture, we will take a look at a few examples of chart elements and how they are edited. We will dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section in the course. That's really boring. I mean, someone's going to listen to a 2 or 3 or 4 hour course. They want someone with some life in them, and they're not going to see me and my life. They're going to hear me. So I tend to stand here and I tend to be a bit animated while I'm talking, which is how I talk anyway, and it tends to come across better. I would do it like this. In this lecture, we're going to take a look at a few examples of chart elements and how they are edited. We'll dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. Open the exercise files, section 03, located in the folder of your exercise files, to the Chart Elements Worksheet tab. And then I continue. Now, the next helpful tip on doing these that I found is it makes it really hard if you're doing a sentence and then in the middle of a sentence you mess up and then you try and correct that. Here, let me give you an example. Open the exercise file, section 3, located in the folder of your exercise files to the Chart Elements Worksheet tab. It seems like you're doing it faster. It seems like that's better to do it that way. But what happens is when you get that, you're going to get this piece and you're going to have to cut this piece. And maybe there's a breath in between the sentences. And when you start chopping things up, it just is a mess. It's much easier to take each line or each sentence that you're doing and just do the sentence over. That way you'll hear the person mess up. You can chop it out, as you'll see in a few minutes. And then you start over. You would do it like this. Open the exercise file, section 03, located in the folder. Okay. Open the exercise file, section 03, located in the folder of your exercise files, to the Chart Elements Worksheet tab. That makes it so much easier on an editor because they'll go along, they'll go, he messed up. And once you're doing like 20, 30, 50 lectures, they'll click into what you're doing. Blah, 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 he messed up. Oh, I can just go to the next where he repeats. Chop, go to the next. He messed up, chop, go to the next. Makes it really easy when you're editing or someone else is editing your files. It's really, really helpful. Then the next thing is you can find yourself doing this, especially if it's something you're not interested in, like, I don't know, how they mold plastic cups. If you're not interested in it, you're going to get bored. So again, I try and keep the life in it. I go through and I do this. In this lecture, we'll take a look at a few examples of chart elements and how they are edited. So I tend to put some life into it. You could also get into slurring your words if you get bored. We will dive much deeper into our chart elements in a later section of the course. Open the exercise file 03, located in the folder of your exercise files, to the Chart Elements Worksheet tab. I'm kind of slurring my words, which, by the way, you probably shouldn't drink alcohol the night before or during the day before you do these, because then you slur your words. I tend to be a little bit more pronunciated on these words so people can hear. They don't see me. They don't know who I am. They're just going to hear my voice. In this lecture, we will take a look at a few examples of chart elements and how they are edited. We will dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. It just comes across better, it's easier to edit, and it's easier for the person to hear what you're saying, which is the whole point. The last thing is, these can go quite long sometimes, sometimes 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and even 6 and 7 minutes. When you're done doing a lecture and you get through with it, stop. You'll want to keep going. You want to get it done. You want to do the next section and the next section and the next section. When you finish a section, give yourself a voice and more importantly, give yourself a rest and more importantly, give your voice a rest. Just chill. Stand back from the mic. Take a drink of water. Take a drink of coffee. And then, this is a little bit gross, and then suck all the stuff out of your mouth. What can happen is you take a drink of water, click on the label which sucks all labels, and on the home tab, let's change that to bold, and you get this watery blah, blah, blah thing and a lot of more stuff. So you just try and suck the liquid out of your mouth, and then you don't get that swishy whatever thing. Your mouth may get a little dry, but that's fine. Oh yeah, make sure the microphone's at least, 5, 6, 7 inches away from you. If you're going to put your microphone way the heck over there, you're going to end up, it's just going to sound terrible. Make sure you check the levels on this. They should be between -12, -15 in that area. If you're going to record this thing really, really low and you don't check it, you're going to bring up your, levels later in post, and then you're going to bring up also all the noise and the floor and any AC and anything else. If you do them too high, it's going to peak out and you're just going to have a mess and you can't fix that in post. When you do repeat these, leave a little space. As an editor, as you'll see later, as an editor editing, he could see a little piece and then he'll see a space and then he'll go, okay, something happened here. And it's a good visual clue for him to look at. For instance, if I do this on a mistake, we will dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. It makes it really hard for him, and then he has to listen and everything else just leave a little pause in there because you may be in the middle of breathing or something, but more importantly, you can see visually that something happened. You do it like this. We will dive much deeper. We will dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. The other thing is pacing. You can kill someone with pacing. I mean, remember, they're only hearing you. There may be visual elements, but they're only hearing you. We will dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. Open the exercise. If you were listening to an audiobook, oh my gosh, you can also go the other way. If you're nervous or you're not breathing or you're not drinking or you're not settled down, you can go the other way. We'll dive much deeper into chart elements in a later section of the course. Open the exercise file, section 3, located in the folder of your exercise files to the chart elements. Wow, just stop, dude. Just breathe and relax and talk normally like you're talking to someone. Not too slow, not too fast. And it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a whole section of narration for something, you just want to keep it going. You don't want to lead the guy into the next. If you're doing something where the person is doing something on the screen, you want to give a little pause so they can actually do the thing. For instance, this. Select the first chart, the cluster column chart, go to the Design tab and click on the Add Chart element. Notice there are plenty of elements to add manipulate. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering over the chart title and clicking the option above the chart. The title is added. The person doing this, following along in this this particular show me, do me lecture is going to be like, ah! So when you're doing stuff like that, pause, give them a chance to do it. Not too long, but give them a chance to do it. It would go like this. Select the first chart, the cluster column chart, then go to the Design tab and click on the Add Chart element. Notice there are plenty of elements to add manipulate. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering over the chart title and clicking the option above chart. So I'm kind of doing this somewhat with my hands because there's on screen going on it, but now I know the person can kind of do that thing while they're doing it. Okay, here's what I wouldn't do, nor would I hire someone else if they did this. Here's what happens. You get down to the, I don't know, the 67th lecture, and they started out and they did all these tips and everything else. And you get way, way down here, and they're down here doing this. The ability to take whatever data you're using and show it graphically in many different ways is where this program shines. For this lecture, we'll be working in the Chart Types Worksheet tab of your... You're fired. Oh, and one other tip. If you get frustrated with doing this, it's going to come through. Like, let's go through here. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering over chart title. Oh, damn it. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering over chart title. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering over chart title and clicking the option. See, I'm like getting pissed off and it's going to come through the audio. You just got to chill. Some other things that I do when I'm doing these voiceovers is I just keep it fun since I'm going to be editing it later, 20, 30, 50 lectures, or someone else. Sometimes I just keep it fun for them and I keep it fun for me because later when you're editing and you forget all about this and you're editing away, it's sometimes fun and it keeps me from getting upset and mad, which goes in here, which goes into the recorder, which comes across to the viewer. So I might do something like this. For now, let's add a chart title. For now, let's add a chart title. Hello, this is Kevin, and I am totally messing this up, so I'm now going to go shoot myself in the brains. I just tell myself a joke or something like that, you know, like, or I just joke around, or I just go, ah, and then I just get it out of my system, get back, get animated again. For now, let's add a chart title to our chart by hovering over chart title and clicking the option above chart. There's a huge difference between doing those two. The product you're going for is the person at the end can hear it and they're engaged and they just keep going. And there you go. Those are my tips for doing some voiceovers for another person or in this type of process. I hope that was helpful. This may not be your process. You may have gained some tips from doing your own voiceovers for your own work or whatever. With that particular flow, when you're working with a group of people, for me, that's just the fastest way to do it. For creating these online trainings that I'm doing for this company, I actually have set up a 59-step process that starts with the script, with reviewing the script and correcting it, with taking it and voicing it over. And after voicing it over, you edit and process the files. That's another job to manage the voice and make sure it's similar with all the other ones. Then editing and cutting the files up, then doing the screen captures. Once they're done with the screen captures, then marrying up the screen captures with the voiceover. Then after doing that, animating that stuff, adding titles. I mean, this goes on to 59 steps from here to here, and then you're just done. Anyway, I hope that helped you in some way or you learned something out of this. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. You know, every once in a while, just for fun, because I have other people like listening to these and editing something, I'll do this on purpose. And if they actually try and edit this and put it together and hand it back to me, it just makes me laugh. I'll do stuff like this. Section 2, Chart Tools. In this lecture, I'll briefly go over the chart tools available to design and format charts. For this lecture, we'll be clicking on Chart Tools Worksheet tab, your Section 1 exercise file. Click on the charts. Chart tools appear, and you'll see the Design and Format tabs. The Design tab is where you go to the chart elements, ships, pictures, and the top sets and more. The Design tab covers the chart layouts, chart styles, manipulating data, changes, chart type, moving location, chart. The Add Chart Element button allows you to add or remove various chart elements. If you're trying to edit this, please stop now.